It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome one and all, it's time for another spicy, red hot, sizzling, tender edition of the Andy and Remington Show, episode 186. And for anyone playing the R. Remington Lines open or closed game at home, you're about to get your answer. Here we go. Boom. Remington's blinds are in fact open, aka up, this week. So I believe the only guess we had, the Colonel, suggested that the blinds would be up. Actually, Colin thought halfway. Hedging bets a bit there. And I think that counts as up, doesn't it?
It's halfway. That's halfway house, Andy.
Are they halfway? They look kind of up to me. That looks near the top of the window.
Well, I thought I'd keep them halfway up just in case it snowed again, Andy. We got lots of lovely snow, and it lasted for, I don't know, 12 hours or so.
Yes, it was totally freezing one day. -2 temperatures outside, and then the next day, back to normal again. Like a mini preview, a sneak preview, a leaked teaser trailer of winter for this year.
You know, I used to know a colonel. Hello, Colonel Billington. Me and my brother used to know a colonel when we were young, and he was quite an elderly gentleman. And he was on some trip with us in the Isle of Wight, and he had these white shorts on. And the problem was that his danglage was dangling out of the shorts, and we couldn't remember the colonel's name. So my brother always called him the colonel's fruit basket.
A bit of an Alan Partridge popped out moment.
Yeah, just this sack hanging out. It's quite weird, really. It looked quite unnatural. I always remember that as a child.
You always remember the Colonel's danglage.
The
Never forget
Colonel's
that.
fruit basket. Anyway, that's nothing to do with you, Mr. Billington. What a great name. I hope you're well. Hello, Mickey Jennifer. I got this ready for you in an appropriate pose. Don't know if you can see that. There you go.
Very stylish.
That's for you, Mickey. So enjoy that. It'll be a different pose each week for a different guest.
Wow. Now, you may recall that last week we were supposed to have a guest. A bit ill, couldn't make it on, but will be on in December. And may well be that person's birthday today. So I believe Mr. Remington is going to sing a little happy birthday song. Isn't that right?
I'm trying to get this. Yeah, Mickey's impressed by that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Desato. Happy birthday to you.
Well done. So, news items this week. Warhammer World is open again. Sewage leak, which I believe is still somewhat ongoing, but they have actually managed to open up again.
Now, Andy, we didn't cover this last week in the show, I don't believe, but the day after, I did share it on the Discord. I'm just wondering if you had a photo from the press of the sewage company which had shut down Warhammer World, and you could smell it from your house, couldn't you?
Not from my house, but I have been able to smell it while in the nearby vicinity. I'm out and about near Warhammer World quite often, and there was a lingering stench that did spread around quite a bit.
Amazing. So what was the cause of it? Did we find out? I purported that it was gamers coming and blocking the toilets. Other people suggested it might have been some Skaven underhand things going on. What did you think?
So, initially it was reported as being a water issue, And when I heard about that and then compared that to the stench that I had personally witnessed, I thought, no, that's just them being nice about it on social media. And all I know is that they've been digging up pipes, presumably putting in new pipes, draining. There's been a really long sewage pipe been running from the site of the leak all the way down the road, presumably where they're depositing all the waste. So seems to be some kind of burst sewage pipe issue, which could well have been caused by gamers. We can't rule that out because it is in the vicinity of Warhammer World.
Right. So nothing to do with Bugman's Bar overflowing?
Nothing confirmed, and nothing particularly tracing it back to Bugman's Bar. Could have been related to any of the surrounding businesses, or it could have just been an old pipe related. Nothing to do with gamers' bodily functions whatsoever.
Now, is it been fixed yet?
I don't think it's completely fixed yet, but Warhammer World is open as normal.
Open.
There's been various road
open?
closures. I haven't looked today, so I don't know if the big length of pipe is still out there blocking the roads. If you are thinking of travelling, then check beforehand which roads are actually open too.
Interesting.
Anyway, so moving on from that, let's look at some spicy stuff here. So, dragons, been waiting for about 5 months for them, it feels like now. And here we go, they're up for pre-order. £95, same price as a Star Drake, cheaper than a Mega Gargant. Gargant coming in at £120. So, obviously this kit builds the two juicy dragons. And what do you feel about this? £95 seems fair to me.
I was £95. Maybe we can get that down to something more like £80.
Well, at the moment, a lot of the third-party retailers are as low as £74, I think. So the family members of mine that I've tipped off, that if any of them want to band together to get me a Christmas, then there are some shops that have it for a significantly lower price than this. I wonder if they're going to just completely sell out, though. I had those issues with certain other models and with their supply issues. Who knows if these dragons will be long or whether they'll completely disappear for a few months. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? I couldn't get my hands on another massive dragon. Crush the Remington forces.
I saw Amy Snuggs had been sent one to paint, so
yes.
That was kind of good. So people have been getting them.
That is correct. So not only is this dragon available, be built one of two ways. Also these dragons. So I think the pro painters or the people with large social media followings that got big dragons got them early. There is actually an article on the Warhammer community which we might look at in a moment, comparing some of the paint jobs of those dragons. Stormdrake Guard, 2 of them for £68. Which doesn't seem too outrageous when you look at the size of them. They are quite big, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not as big as the Clondis, the big one, are they? But
No.
are they as big as some of the other Warhammer monsters we've seen? And if you're watching live, you might want to play a little game that we're playing on the side here. Look at my doll on the screen and name the film that the doll is doing a pose from.
Yes, very exciting.
Andy knows. So that's a little side game for our viewers. So will you be getting these dragons or the Big Daddy?
I'll be going for one of the big dragons rather than... I've got so much to be working on, I've got to prioritise really. Why not a massive dragon? These look to be about the size of some of the older full-size dragons though. If you compare them to like the old metal zombie dragon, probably about the same size as something like that. Pretty hefty creatures.
What? Those are the same size of zombie dragon. That's massive.
The old metal zombie dragon.
Right, I see.
Similar kind of mass, probably, to that.
Right, I'm not sure what I'd go for, really. I kind of like the riders, and I like the the tails of these ones and the poses better than the poses of the big dragon. It would be cool if the big dragons you could pose into loads of different ways, you know.
Would be nice. Don't think it would be stupidly complicated to make more poses. Have to throw in a few extra shoulder joints.
Yeah, no one's getting the movie clue, so might as well just say it. Basic Instinct. Seems so obvious now. Anyway.
Any more sitting poses that you've got film inspired?
Not offhand, no. Didn't go down too well, that. So
Well, there's a side thing for the chat. What are your favourite film sitting poses? Can you think of any famous scenes involving someone sitting in a particular way?
Oh, people are getting into it now. They want me to strike another pose.
I've got one. What about in Jurassic Park with the lawyer who runs into the little toilet cubicle to escape the T-Rex?
Yes.
And then when the roof gets ripped off, he's just sitting there, like, patting his head. Do you want to replicate that one? This is top quality content.
I don't. What's he doing? He's sat on the toilet and he's about to be
Yes.
eaten by a dinosaur.
Yeah, and he's got his hands in the air, like, no, don't eat me, T-Rex. I'm a lawyer.
What about that?
Not bad.
That work?
Not bad. I'm not sure this game's got legs.
Peter Ancorn, hello. He was gonna say basic instinct, but he was too embarrassed. My good fellow, there's nothing you can't be too embarrassed on this show. There's been much worse.
You want some scandal now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Bounce to the Squig limited edition plush safety recall instructions. So apparently the issue with these squigs, the little pom-poms can come off quite easily, which poses a choking.
Come on. That's well, yeah, if you tear them off, it's going to be a choking hazard, is it?
Yes, but they can come off more easily than they should. They shouldn't be given to small children, and they should be turned immediately, be replaced with a robust one. So it seems to be a particular batch. And look at that, pom-poms may become detached from the toy and present a choking hazard to young children. So it's just falling into line with all of GW's other products, really, because pretty much everything they sell poses a choking hazard to small children.
Why is everyone being so soft, man? Come on. I mean, were they loose? Is that the issue?
I assume they just weren't stitched on properly in the batch. If someone did choke to death on one of them, that would be quite a hefty lawsuit, especially if GW were found to be aware of the problem on a particular batch and about it.
It's just silly because that's the best toy they've ever made, in my opinion.
I'm sure they'll make a more robust one and replace them all.
There's another film pose there. It's a really hard one, actually. And Peter, I will do the platoon after this, but can you guess what this is? It's the name of a film. So it suggests the name of a film. And it's to do with the theme of this show. Sort of. Colonel says he swallowed 4 button batteries when he was 6 years old, and it made him the man he is today.
Oh dear.
There you are. It's part of growing up, isn't it? Finding out stuff like that, isn't it?
Well, it's part of growing up for those that survive whatever they put in their mouth, yes.
Well, I've flummoxed the audience again. The answer is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. There we are. And now I'm going to do Platoon, and then we'll end it there, okay? So he's... Okay, there's my Platoon post. This is amazing, this doll, isn't it? First time I've really had a good play with it. There's Platoon, William Dafoe. How about that?
Would you like to know how to get a refund on your Wig?
Has anyone actually got one? I don't think anyone's received it anyway, Andy.
First of all, you have to do this, take a picture of it with the label cut off. Then you have to cut off its tail. And only then can you receive refund. It's like killing a vampire almost, isn't it, going through all these steps?
These are going to be like real collectible items, aren't they? Have you got the rare squig with the pom pom that falls off?
Imagine if someone's got the rare squig with the pom-poms that fall off, but the pom-poms are intact. That's going to be going for millions in a few years, no doubt.
Can't one get someone in their family just to sew it back on, right? It's not that hard. Bit of glue.
Potential lawsuits will cause companies to do serious things.
It's much easier to pick up a Games Workshop model and stick that in your gob than it is a giant pom pom.
Yes, but people aren't going to be giving a multi-part plastic Space Marine kit to a 2-year-old, are they?
Well,
most people probably won't anyway.
It's a great idea. I hope they don't discontinue them because they are the best. In my opinion, the best cuddly toys they've made.
I've got the Nurgling as well.
Colin, being the entrepreneur, come to the right place coming on this show. Colin says he could sew them on. So
set up a side business sewing on faulty pom-poms on GW products. It's a bit niche. Okay, next. Here's some new stuff to look at. What about this?
What?
It's a Blood Bowl dwarf firing a ball Zuka.
Well, isn't that illegal?
Well, I think half of the fun of Blood Bowl is that the games break the rules.
I love
Barrick Farblast. I like how he's being visibly reeling after the shot, isn't he?
That's a great model, man. I love the smoke coming out the gun thing. I was trying to figure out how I could do that. Maybe you could get hair mousse or something, or some kind of. Do you know that stuff? Do you know if you've got a leaky drain and you spray that foam stuff, and then it goes all brown and it gets solidified? That on a small level, right? Remington Industries, $1 million idea, live on air. That in a little tube, and you could have it could give you this solidified smoke effect, so you could have guns and coming out of 40K things.
So Remington Industries' latest idea is to take corrosive drain unblocking chemicals, use them in modelling.
Yeah, we'll just stick a label on, like not for under 6-year-olds or something, and then we're covered, right?
As long as the pom-poms don't detach, you're okay.
Well, we'll have to refer to our legal team. Mickey? Is Mickey there? I think she's working on it somewhere.
Excellent. So we've got some more multi-angle here, and this is very nice. Very cool model. I've always said if I was going to play Blood Bowl, it would be dwarves. I think they are the sweetest looking faction. And you'll see here Barrick's first appearance in metal form way back in the murky mists of 1988. There he is. That's what the old one looked like. Brought up to date.
Right. Wow, that's a bit of an upgrade then, isn't it? It looks cool. So this is this like a star player, or is it like a tactical thing?
It is a star player. I'm a big fan of this old aesthetic though. The old dwarves and the old squats. I know you're a big fan of the old classic dwarves as well.
So we've got a name for this. The think tank in the chat has thought of a name for this new product. Remington Industries presents Bazooka Foam. Thank you, Colin. I think that's got legs, that idea.
So, I don't think I've actually linked to it here.
Have you got any Blood Bowl cards? Andy, have you got any Blood Bowl teams? I've got the Halloween Blood Bowl team.
I have not.
I think I've got 3 or 4 of the models to finish painting, but I quite like those. But the Wood Elf ones are great.
So I'm
What's that luncheon and loot thing? That looks
strolling down the Warhammer community to try and find the article with the various different dragons that were painted, but I can't see it anywhere. Let's view all news. All features there. It's going to be a feature. There we go.
Hello, Josh. Josh, you're late. How very dare you?
Here we go. Gorgeously painted Draconith princes from around the community. So, a Colin, this one. Not our Colin, different Colin. Very white, Karazai, the Scarred. So we're going to ask Remington to rate all these dragons.
That's a 2 out of 10.
You're not a fan of that one?
No, it looks silly. It looks like it's just been prepped to be painted.
I agree there's not enough going on with this one. I would like to see a bit more colour in there. I don't think the white is doing enough.
The face looks lumpy as well. So, you know. Yeah.
Okay, this one is from Maurice. And this is a bit more of an exciting colour. This one, I believe they point out, had heavy use of contrast paint.
Yeah, it shows. I'd give this a 2.5.
You can tell it's contrast paints, but it's definitely a more interesting colour scheme than the white one.
The inside wing is passable.
That inside wing is actually nice. I'm not that keen on the green.
No, it's terrible. Let's face it, it's terrible. How did they even publish this? It's terrible. Sorry.
It's very contrasty, the contrast paint sense. Inside of the wing is nice though. Then this is from a Vincent, and that's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, the back of the model looks pretty cool. It looks quite demonic, doesn't it? Yeah, this is the best one so far.
The nice one. We've got some really spicy ones coming up.
It looks a bit boring, let's face it, but it's better than the other two.
I think the base could use a bit more. The base doesn't look finished to me.
It isn't finished, is it? Yeah, that's a 4 out of 10 for me. How about you, Andy?
Well, I haven't been rating them so far,
No.
but can't disagree too much with you. I think that maybe the paint job is worth a bit more than you're giving it, but the base does let it down a bit. It's supposed to be a very barren wasteland with a few ruins in it, and I think something more could have been anyway. If you're not going to have any kind of vegetation on there, then add some more ruins, I would say. From Jessica. And this one has got a bit of a twist to it. Very leafy dragon.
This is more like it. Yeah, this is the best one so far. I don't like the green very much. It looks a bit sort of lizard-like, but then it's meant to be a giant lizard, really, isn't it, with wings? So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10.
I like the yellow a lot. That kind of goldy ale.
Yeah.
The leaves are a nice feature.
You see, they've not put any of the silly armor plates on these dragons, have they? And maybe that's why I like it. But
well, you know, I like the dragon armor plates.
No, they're silly. This looks like it's natural. You know,
Next
you've never had a pet, have you, Andy? If you've ever had a dog, if you've tried putting shoes on a dog, they're not happy.
Yeah, but these are fully sentient beings. They don't need someone riding on them. You can have a conversation with them. They wouldn't mind wearing a bit of armor and some magical gauntlets.
Well, they've got plate armored skin. Why do they need man-made stuff?
It's got magic imbued in it. So here's one from Egg.
Wow.
And this is a nice one as well.
Yeah, this is cool.
Maybe the only one of this Karazai that I've seen where the scarring, what draws the eye, kind of the surrounding area to the scarring is almost fire-like, isn't it?
Yeah, that's because the dragon's about to blow its fiery breath. But it doesn't have any Remington Industries bazooka foam to use.
Well, that's going to let it down severely then.
Yeah. But yeah, this one, I'm going to give this an 8. An 8.5 out of 10.
Nice base there as well.
Yeah, really nice base that.
This one's from Richard, and this is another very nice one.
Wow, that looks like a painting, doesn't it?
Those scales, the yellow ones again, definitely do.
Is that real, Andy, or is that an artist impression?
That is real.
That's amazing. That's gonna. I don't know. It's 9.5, 10. That's a 10 out of 10.
That's fair.
That's amazing.
From Annie. Not the Annie we know. This is another green one, so I don't think you're going to be a fan of this.
No, the base is great, but the rest of it is
Very nice
bad.
base, elevating the paint job a little bit.
She's kept the silly armor plates on. That's going to lose points for me.
Well, mine's going to lose points then, because I'm going to be keeping armor plates.
Please don't do that, Andy. Let's just have a natural dragon that can use that all races can use. Why does it have to be branded with the silly Stormcast armor?
Because the Stormcast are the only ones worthy. Then this one is from Garfy. This one is a better attempt at the very pale colour scheme, I think. If we compare it to the white one that we saw right at the start, I think this is probably a nicer approach. Very pale look. Green scales are nice as well. Overall, I like this one. Good use of skulls on the base as well.
It's average. It's average. Just a 5 out of 10.
Pretty cool colour scheme.
All right.
And this one, friend of the show, Amy Snuggs, did this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is quite a spicy Karazai.
Yeah, I think this, to me, this is a big disappointment for me. I'm sorry, Amy. I think her other paint jobs have been much better. You can laugh at me, spit in my face. It doesn't matter. I think this is a 5 out of 10, maybe. Maybe this is just a bad photo, but it doesn't look finished to me.
Harsh from Remington. It is possible that these people are under tight time constraints to finish them.
Yeah.
For the article.
Yeah.
So maybe that one that we said that maybe the base wasn't. Maybe it actually wasn't finished.
No, I think this is finished, but I would like to think that she could do more to it, especially in the inside wing.
I
more
think
shading,
if she had a really long time to paint one of these, then I think each individual scale would have something more going on with it. Is that fair?
Maybe it looks quite naturalistic.
Overall, the look is nice, but I think if she was really going to town on it with more time, each scale would get more individual love than it currently has. I really like the scarring on this one.
Yeah, it looks better close up than it does from further out to me. So, yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it was her finest hour. Put it that way.
I think I've seen better from her, but it maybe being a little.
Maybe because you got it free. You know, if you bought
So
it,
maybe you're feeling the bitterness of not getting free dragons.
I don't get anything free unless maybe you give me something you don't want. That's about it.
This is from a Nikki, and this is another Karazai, and quite similar actually. When we looked at in terms of the colour scheme, this one's got a bit more.
That's better than Amy's.
It's got a bit more contrast, not contrast paints, but actual contrast going on the wings.
Yeah. It's better than Amy's because of the contrast from the tail as well. Nice.
It's quite
nice colour movements there. That is nice, but Amy's base I thought was better.
Yes. This is from Thor. So this is oddly based as well. This one was apparently done in airbrush. Lots of airbrush work on this. It's got the hallmarks of airbrush, hasn't it? The colour fading slightly at the edge. Just an easy way to get that kind of effect with it.
Yeah.
Way.
It's a 5 out of 10 for me.
I'm generally not a fan of the heavily airbrushed look. And like you see here, light colour's gone over on the next part of the model, which is obviously not a mistake. It's obviously intended to look that way. I'm just not a fan of that. I prefer things to look really clean, as you know.
I think it would the pose of the model would be better for me if the wing wasn't up. This second wing was down as well. That would look kind of cool. Waiting to pounce.
From and this is a unique look. See them on like this. Very nice base.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Like that. That's an 8.5, 9 for me. That's a 9 out of 10 for me.
I think that's extremely well executed. I'm not sure about the colour scheme. I'm not sure the green works for me as much as the colour. But overall, very
Yeah,
well executed.
like it.
Anna, this one. And this is a colour scheme behind. Those two colours go very well together, don't they?
Yeah, it's just ruined by the armor plates again. I mean, it looks a bit daft, but yeah, it's a good paint job.
Very good. And I do like the armor plates as well. And you better get used to seeing those armor plates because they'll be on mine. Alison, this one. So interesting base. Those leaves on it. This is nicely done. I think maybe it could use another colour.
Do you think it needs more orange?
Well, it's weird for me to say this, but I think maybe it needs slightly less orange. Just a bit of something else in there.
Yeah, it's a good photograph, isn't it? But I think that's disguising quite a poorly painted model.
Harsh words from Steel.
There you go. I'm very harsh tonight.
In one of those moods. This is from Darcy. And this has got quite a lot going on colour-wise compared to some of the others. The wings are very nice and fiery. Look at that. The wings, unquestionably, the best part for me.
Yeah, they look great.
The inside of the wings.
I've been following Darcy on Instagram, and her models look really cool. They're getting better as well. They're getting like less sort of messy and more professional looking. But she's got a good imagination. So yeah, I'm digging this. This is a 8.5 for me. Maybe
Yeah,
even
the inside of the wings, I would give a 10 out of 10. The rest of the dragon,
yeah.
a little bit lower. Next is Emma, and this is clearly the most wildly colourful one we've seen so far.
Yeah, that one is like what are those windows called in churches again?
Stained glass window.
Yeah, it looks like one of those kind of psychedelic.
This is what I was referring to earlier when I was talking about each individual scale getting some attention. See each one highlighted separately, can't you? It's got its own individual brush strokes on every scale.
It's clever, but overall it looks silly.
Colour scheme might be a bit over the top,
Yeah,
but the actual technical work that's gone into each scale, I'm very much.
Yeah, I just think there's too much mad colours going on there. I think she should have stuck with maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 colours there instead of like 10.
This is from community mainstay and legend Vince Venturella, of course.
Yeah, the wings
of Warhammer Weekly.
Did he put a different head on that? Because
I don't know if he's replaced the whole head or whether he's just modified the head.
I like it.
It's
Yeah,
got.
I would. Vince likes to modify stuff, so.
Well, you know his army of Stormcast Eternals are rat men.
Love it already.
So you can see it's definitely got kind of the horned rat vibe going on with the head, hasn't it?
Yeah, basically Vince has uncovered something very important there, that Stormcast are, in fact, rat men.
Could well be. But it's definitely
this is really good. This is
definitely a
9.5.
nice one.
Yeah, 9.5 for me.
I see. And we'll pick our favourites in a minute. It's from Peter, and this is heavily converted as well into a Cruel Boys dragon with a mount, some kind of war boss or something mounted on the back of it. Cool conversion.
Yeah, this is cool. Good photograph as well.
It feels like more time has gone into the rider, possibly, than the actual dragon in terms of paint job.
I never liked that rider's pose. He looks like he's got really little legs, sort of really stumpy. And the paint job's a bit drab, but
I think that's the intent, isn't it, for Cruel Boys? Really, very swampy.
Yeah, it works.
So it's nice.
It's good.
And I think that's all of them. So, which one is your favourite?
Yeah, keep flicking through. Vince is in top 3 definitely.
I think this one, this Darcy, is the best wing interior. I really like that
Okay,
fire effect in there.
nice.
I'm a big fan
Keep
of
going.
this one as well, actually. This one might be my favourite. This one, Anna.
Well, that would
I
fit
really
into
like
your
the
arm,
colour
wouldn't it?
scheme, and I know you don't like the armor plates, but I dig them. Could be my favourite. This one.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a simple scheme, but it's very well done and it works. The colours work very well together.
The dragon looks very happy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this one's in my top 3 as well. The
This
one
one.
below it. No, the
Oh,
one
the
with the
one from
statue.
Crystal.
Yeah, go down. Yeah, Crystal.
Yeah,
That's
that is a
lovely.
nice one.
Yeah, that's in my top 3, and then the one that I gave 10 out of 10 to, I suppose that's got to be in there.
Was this one you gave out of 10?
No,
Was it?
no. If you go up a bit more. No, no. Yes.
This one. Is this your favourite?
No, the red one. Oh, that was good. That's 4th place. That one's 4th place for me. The red one. You go 2 down.
And one
Yeah, that
more
one's
time.
cool as well. That'll be in my top 5.
Okay, so the red one. That
The one
one?
that looked like a painting. Yeah,
That
that
one.
one. Yeah.
From. That was your.
Like a Dungeons and Dragons painting, isn't it, that one?
Very nice
Cool.
dragons there. And I think I'm going to have fun with mine. I'm definitely doing Frondis, though. The one with the armor plates. Not just because I think it looks like he's got fun rules, but also I don't like painting a creature. I like there to be something else on there to break up the colours. I think the gold, the armor plates, big gauntlets, I think those.
Andy, what if I, roast up your dragon and gave you a goblin to put on it? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? A
A
goblin
goblin.
rider.
A
Yeah.
goblin riding on a dragon.
Yeah, I think I've got a spare one. He used to be on a mangler squig.
So you want a goblin on the base being eaten by.
No, I want him riding the dragon.
I don't know if I'd go along with that plan. I don't know if I want a goblin masterminding strategies, particularly.
Yeah, well, cool, man. There we go. Are we going to see some of our amazingly painted large models? It's great painting large models. It's a good test.
Indeed. So, people, let us know in the comments which one of these was the best, and then we'll tell you why you're incorrect. So, a couple of quick things now. So, new Necromancer models. Not going to spend much time on these, but they do look cool. So, this one, a bit of a grotty, grimy food server.
Love
In the
that guy.
hive.
Andy, is that a cigar in his mouth, or is it?
It looks like one, yes.
Or is it his tongue?
So,
I
a
don't know.
cigar, barely closed wounds, pustules, serving up your dinner, rubbing
Now,
against his flesh.
Wouldn't it be cool if he had a smoke effect coming out the tin pot on his back and coming out of the cigar?
Would you achieve that with a Remington Industries effect?
Remington is his bazooka foam. Yeah, the small edition for the expert painter.
Yes, that would add something to it, definitely.
I like the food he's serving. What is he chopping up there?
It looks like
it's
some
got
kind of underhive eel.
underhive sushi. He's a sushi chef.
I would like to see a bit more filth on his blade, actually. Although the thing he's chopping up doesn't appear to be too filthy.
Well, I don't think he's got one of those green, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 for hygiene stickers.
No, definitely not. You know what you're buying, though, don't you? See it right there. It's not hiding behind the scenes of a grimy kitchen. Right there. Taking you.
Yeah.
Next, there is another underhive merchant one. Very cheeky looking, selling goggles. Big grenade in there, their accessories.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? But it's kind of, this model's a bit boring compared to the big guy. You
It's
know,
not as exciting, but it has got some character to it.
I wonder what they do in the game. Do you get to swap out your guns stuff if you come across them in the skirmish game? Maybe.
I don't. But these kind of models, almost makes me want to not even play Necromunda, but just build an
Yeah.
Underhive diorama, like a marketplace season. Like
Yeah.
a really disgusting, dirtier version of like Blade Runner. Anyway, next it's a rumor engine, and it looks like the top of a Fire Slayer, some description.
Yeah, or it could be a flagellance
Uh,
setting a light
If
to
it's a
his
Fire Slayer axe head or something, there is a rumor that there's going to be a new Fire Slayer hero at some.
I've read a rumor that there's going to be Fire Slayers versus um the the Deep King, Ideneth Deep King. There's a box coming out maybe next year.
That would be interesting.
So
If they do merge all the Dwarden forces together, one big blob, then I could be tempted to add some.
is that something you've just made up, or is that something you've
No,
read
because
about?
there are rumors that they're gonna, the way they've done it with the Auric War Clans as a book, they're gonna do
Yeah.
the same thing. Dwarves, or one under one roof book. Fire
What's the
Slayers, the
Caradon
Caradron
Overlord?
Overlords, and potentially a new dwarf faction.
Well, where would that leave the City of Sigmar dwarves though?
Well,
The
if they put all the dispossessed in as well. So
yeah.
next, okay, it's time for. Hold on, here we go.
Remington's Millions.
Yes, Remington's Millions. So, what are we looking at here? It looks like a bit of an upward trajectory in the
Yes.
Games Workshop.
Not really. That is the entire Games Workshop history chart.
Oh, well, it is looking good in total since the start then.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it's up and to the right. So if you'd bought Games Workshop shares when they first come out, you might have paid £2 or £3, £4 for them. Today they're worth £94. But you can see there's been a massive dip there from its all-time high of about £121. And if you look at the 3-month chart, which Andrew's kindly put up there, it looks quite worrying, really. So what we're seeing there is the reopening of society and investors thinking no one's going to want to play Games Workshop stuff anymore because the world has opened. And then plus there's been lots of fans complaining about, not being allowed to use Games Workshop's IP.
Supply issues.
And then, yes, obviously supply issues, and it's gone down, down, down. And it's not the only, a lot of stocks have done this, especially in retail and anything that needs logistics.
It's
Talking of
not gone down stupendously, though, has it? It's still just lingering around that point where it wouldn't take much for it to be close to the all-time high level.
Well, if you look at it to the right, you can see that it hit a low point of 91. And in the last couple of days, it's gone up a little bit. And the reason for that is the Omicron. Apparently, maybe the threat of us being forced into potentially another lockdown, investors are like, well, maybe people are going to get back into Games Workshop, and so it's gone back up again. So there you go. It's pretty crazy, really. Also, last week when it hit its bottom, Games Workshop, well, they released their dividend, which I think was 25 pence per share. Or was it 35? I can't remember. So yeah, every 3 months they give you a little bit of money back. So that's kind of cool. If you're in it for the long term, if you're in it to win it, it's kind of cool. I'm down right now. I'm down quite big.
Colonel says not long before GW accepts Rimcoin as the currency of choice.
Well, that's what we need to lobby them, really, don't we? So yeah, I think there's been a lot of this comes around periodically, Andy. the people complaining, but it could be prices, it could be the thing that we've got now of IP, it could be Games Workshop have this big moat around their business and they're too big, or it could be it could be anything really. But they seem to survive all the way through it and seem to be getting bigger and better. But another one is that people say, well, everyone's going to get 3D printers and print their own models, so maybe Games Workshop won't survive that. So,
I'm not a strong believer in that line of thing,
why
as
is
we've
that?
discussed in the past. I think people still want to buy the kits rather than just themselves. It's a lot of time and effort required to maintaining a 3D printer, as well as the cost involved, materials, the time it takes to actually get up to speed the machine.
Yeah.
Then inconsistent quality, issues with the prints that you don't notice until it's been printing for 57 hours.
Right.
And I think maybe if we go way into the future, everything you could possibly want will just be 3D printed, like a Star Trek situation. But I don't think GW.
Yeah. There's been talk around the investing world and the gaming world and the Bitcoin and crypto world all about the metaverse. And last couple of months, it's gone absolutely mental. Maybe we should do a whole show on this, but where could Games Workshop's place be in the metaverse? So if you don't know what I'm talking about and what the metaverse is, well, Facebook have actually just changed their name to Meta, and because they're going to have a big stake in this virtual world, let's call it. There's land being bought in the virtual world for hundreds of thousands of pounds, and companies like Nike and Atari are buying land in this virtual place called Decentraland, where you can walk around and have a good time and visit shops and be whoever you want to be. So I wonder if in the future Games Workshop could find a place in the metaverse. It could be the next level, if you like, of cosplay. Kind of cool, right? Virtual cosplay.
That would definitely be an interesting topic to dive into at some point. That sounds like it would take an entire show. Okay.
Absolutely.
Next. So, we're going to start looking at some big models now. Obviously, with the dragons appearing, and people are making tough financial decisions. Do they want to shell out the at least £75, wherever you're buying it from, for large dragons? What are the factors you consider when deciding whether to buy a large model? Which models have you gone in on? Gritted, perhaps? Anything else like that, drop it in the chat. And we're going to talk about some of the models that we've purchased over the years and painted. So we're going to start off with this. Looks like the later version of Azhag the Slaughterer in the Remington collection.
Yeah, this is getting on a bit now. This model, it's made of fine cast, and I must have painted this maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
When did you buy it? Did you buy it around the time you painted?
Maybe 6 months before I painted it. I'm really pleased with it. It looks a bit goofy, but that's what orcs looked like back then.
What inspired you to take the plunge on it?
Well, I wanted a centerpiece. So what you'll find is I've never regretted buying a big model, actually, because they look so good as a centerpiece model in your army. And they're fun to paint. In some ways, they're easier to paint, and you get a lot more satisfaction out of them. So,
would this one have been about £40 or something when you bought it?
It was £55 retail, and I think I snagged it on eBay for something nearer £35-40. So,
yeah, when I was buying the original Azhag the Slaughterer in metal, 90s, I believe it was £25. So prices do change. So that wasn't that big of an investment, seemingly. But at the time, I was a child. But it was during GW's great buy 3 boxes, get the cheapest one free phase. It was just after my birthday or Christmas, or a bit of money to spend in the shop. Bought a load of Aztec the Slaughterer, a giant Snotling pump wagon, all the crazy stuff.
Nice.
So that was fun times.
Yeah, this isn't the biggest model anymore. But
Probably
at the
about the
time,
same
it was pretty
size.
big.
Not much bigger than one of those new Conus Knights.
Probably not, actually. But you could see the difference between the paint job there and my new paint jobs when you come to see some more. But this is one of Andy's.
Yes, the mighty Stardrake was
Yeah.
at the time the largest model that it might still be actually the largest model that I got in my collection, and it was quite a step because I've never even fully painted a dragon. I owned a wyvern before, but I never fully painted it. I was a child, and kids just buy a load of stuff and never paint half of it. But I say that like adults don't do the exact same thing. Stardrake, something about it just grabbed me, and it was right before the Caradron Overlords were released as well. So, and there were rumours that dwarves were on the way, spicy faction. But I thought, you know what? I want a dragon. This is a nice one.
Well,
why don't I
he's
just see
never
how
let
it
you
goes?
down. He's never let you down on the battlefield, has he, Andy?
This Stardrake has probably not let me down. The old die.
He did annihilate a whole goblin army, didn't you?
Yes,
I think you single-handedly destroyed nearly all my force in one battle.
at least. It was a lot of fun to paint this model, and the techniques I used weren't outrageously time-consuming. There was airbrushing, and there was lots of is used the wings to get the gradient effect. If I was doing it now, I'm sure I'd be able to achieve a smoother effect than that. Even. And the underside was with gradual thinned down pinky purpley washes. Put it all on in one go. I wasn't happy with how that looked. So it was gradual, several washes on the underside. And then the top was dry brushed with progressively lighter shades of purple. And it was fun to paint. Obviously the armour, something Remington hates on Draco. I do think it's cool. And still one of my favourite models, quite a few years later now. But I wanted something. I wanted a dragon. B, I wanted a big model to paint. I hadn't painted that size. Next, we've got your two-headed Empire Griffin.
Yeah, this is difficult to take a picture of this and capturing its majesty in one photo. Because there's so much going on this model, yet it doesn't look too complex. So you've got the tiger body, which is gorgeously painted there. You just feel like reaching out and touching it, don't you, Andy? Stroking that lion's mane, tiger's mane even. Yeah, but then you've got these gigantic claws at the front that look like stupendously big compared to its sort of little head there.
This is when it seemed like they were playing around with a bit of perspective, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of forced perspective.
It's got absolute majesty. It's a wonderful model, this. So yeah, this is the Empire Griffin, or the Karl Franz on the Imperial Griffin. I did paint it as a single head, but then I was too tempted with the double-headed thing, so I painted the double head as well. And instead of Karl Franz, I picked a more generic rider there with the big lance, just to make it look like he'd actually be able to reach something if they got into a fight.
One of my friends
Yeah.
had the original metal Karl Franz. That thing, maybe the most nightmarish model to stick together. The wings just would not stay on at all. Maybe even worse than the old Marauder Giant. It was actually
Yeah, I think that the thing I don't enjoy painting most are the wings. They're such a big part of the model, so you have to get them right, and it took me a few goes.
tempting to just go in there straight away with the dry brushes. Obviously, there are other effects available to you.
Yeah. The tiger effect was actually surprisingly easy. Actually, I really enjoyed doing that.
Look good actually. Mega effect. Very
Now, the
realistic.
next miniature, Andy, I can see this. The next one, you've got a Kings of War miniature there, and it looks like if I went to a Hindu temple, it looks like one of the statues I might find.
Is the
Or
Abyssal Dwarf Hellfane a lava rock rhino golem type thing? Abyssal Dwarves have fitted golden armor and sit atop it. I don't think that guy on top's ever going to be able to hit anybody with that hammer.
no, it looks like the mount has turned to stone, and they're expecting it to move, and so he's got bored, and he's maybe considering hitting it with a hammer. It might come to life. It looks very static as a model pose.
Yes, also it doesn't fit on its base at all. The nose pokes off about 50% further than it should, I think. Or
I
50% beyond the edge.
I think if I was facing this monster in battle, I'd probably just laugh at it. Probably say, "What are you doing?"
And then it'd death.
It wouldn't, because it doesn't move.
Saying you're not a fan of the mantic monster poses.
I think you've done a good job paying it. It's weird. It's almost like the howdah bit on top looks like it could belong to Lizard Man army. You know, it's got some similarities there, don't you think?
I can definitely see that. This was my first attempt at doing the kind of silver, shiny highlighting on such a large model. I've done it on smaller individual. There's like a line of silver running down, head all the way down to the bottom of the armor. And I've attempted it here. And I think it breaks up the gold like that.
I think it's probably a difficult model to paint. This for me. I'd find this difficult.
It
I think
is. It's also
yeah.
tempting to spend a lot of time on the underside when people never see it.
Yeah.
You can access the underside quite easily.
Yeah.
One thing that not everyone does, that I made sure to do, was the skull that's on top. A lot of people don't actually paint that as a skull. They just paint it as metal. I thought it was important to have that bit of extra colour in there. So I like that.
Yeah.
And this was about this. I think it's about £50, this model. So it's a little bit cheaper than some of the massive GW stuff. It's a massive chunk of.
Well, the Griffin was only £33, I think. That seemed quite expensive actually at the time, but now looking at it now, it's like, wow, that's kind of cheap for a centerpiece model.
Next. And this, by the way, when they released the batch of Abyssal Dwarves a couple of years ago, couldn't not buy it. So next, another one of mine. Now this, the decision to buy this was because I wanted a large model for the Stormcast. And this isn't even a miniature as such. It's actually action figure, which I then made static and put a pin in the sword to stop it bending and painted it gold. It's actually Talos from Jason and the Argonauts. And it's done quite well as a Stormcast Giant, as a Stormcast Mega Gargant, fairly recent game as well. And I've used it as a Giant in Kings of War as well.
I did manage to bring him down, but I have to applaud you with this one, Andy. I think this is one of my favourite paint jobs of yours partly because of nostalgia for the film and Harryhausen's animations. But you've just got it spot on. It's like painted like it could be in the movie.
If it was
Yeah.
gold, that's what I was going for. How would it look in the film if it was gold?
But it's not just like shiny, shiny gold, is it? If you've got a bit of antiquity in there.
I used a very similar painting technique to the regular Stormcast, except I used more actual silver on this one because it's a much larger surface area. So there's quite a bit of silver used in there. I was pleased with it, but the reason I actually bought this is because I think we got donated some funds for the channel at one point around the start of Age of Sigmar, and with that, it wasn't exactly burning a hole in my pocket. That's a bit of a strong way to put it, but I was looking for something exciting for the Stormcast. more so than the stuff that was already released at the time. It didn't have a very big range, didn't have anything big at that moment. But why not? It seems like he looks like he could be a Stormcast giant. Why not? It wasn't that expensive. I think it was like £8. You've seen how massive this is. Tall.
Yeah.
It might be a bit taller than a Mega Gargant. Beast. Next, it's one of yours. And Rule Boys.
Yeah, I think we've seen this a couple of times on the show while I was painting it. But yeah, enjoyed painting this one. Filthy, it's like a. It's funny because looking at the picture, you realise that the Cruel Boys' shields, are like little squigs, aren't they? They're carrying them. The squig faces, kind of cool. Yeah, this is a decent. It's not like this model's not massive, but it's definitely definitely monstrous.
Definitely bigger than like your typical kind of monstrous mount hero. It's bigger than a Lord Celestant on a Dracoth or something, but smaller than Big Dragon.
It's definitely something from Star Wars for me. I think it was inspired by something from Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back.
The claw does look a bit like the monster in Jabba the Hutt's basement, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's in Jabba the Hutt's little dungeon that Luke gets in his pit in the pit.
Rancor.
Yeah, I think. How does he kill him? Does he put the chain round his neck?
He traps he lures it into the side room, doesn't he, and then brings the door down on its neck.
Right. Yeah, good tactic.
Yeah, it's cool. Do you find it easier to commit to buying that's not outrageously huge, that's just kind of medium monster?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. And you feel like you can fit them into your army more regularly than just a big behemoth. But one thing about this model, I do wish you got some options of things to put in the cages, because there's 2 or 3 cages that are attached to the model, but they're empty. So it would be nice if maybe a skeleton or a little halfling or a little dwarf trapped. I don't know, or a human.
Yeah, is it possible for you to get something into the cage now?
Not without damaging it, but yeah, we could do something. I wasn't sure what to put. Not quite big enough to put a full humanoid
Yeah,
model
you
in there.
wouldn't fit a Stormcast in there. You could put like a Stormcast leg in there.
Yeah, you're kind of right, aren't you?
Not big enough. Not big enough for their current main enemy.
No, but this character, that's exactly what he does. He snags models and kills them instantly by putting them in his cage.
Next, mine. Now this feels like a really big model. It's really tall. It's not actually that much mass, and clearly it was too big for the chariot base that it was supplied with. This is back when they were desperately trying to fit everything onto those tiny bases, or they caved in. Especially with AOS now, they just put things on whatever base size they feel like. They don't really have standard sizes now. So the Mortis engine. This took me quite a while to paint. Once I got into it, it didn't take a stupendous amount of time. It was quite daunting because there's so many different elements to it. The ghostly bit was mostly airbrushed and dry brushed. Big cage on top of it took quite a while to get right, experimenting on that. What I'm attempting to do there is get gradients from the bottom of the steps all the way up to the spikes on the cage. Kind of works, I think.
Not really, no. I think you've come a long way in your painting, Andy, since these days.
It kind of works as a visible gradient that you can see, but it's definitely something that I would paint way better if I was doing it now.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't know if you had sprays back then, did you? Did you have airbrushes?
Yes, the ghostly bit was done quite a bit with the airbrush. So if you see it from the back, they're a lot darker than the front. and then there was dry brushing on that as well. But yeah, there could be definitely more contrast to the ghosts, and if I was doing them now, I'd probably, on the flamey bits of the ghost, which is quite a lot of it, probably add some kind of wash on that, maybe one of the new effects that they have.
Now, I got this model in Mortal Realms, Andy, so I'm hoping at some point to turn it into a Coven throne. Should be fun. But it looks like a real challenge to paint, especially if you don't have an airbrush. So it'll be interesting.
With
See
the
if I can
with the
pull it
paints
off.
they've got now, the what's it, Hex Wraith Flame
Yeah. They
paint.
never had them back then, did they?
No. So you'll see the flames on the skeletons at the top. They're done with I think it's Tamiya clear green paint flames.
Yeah. I think a way you could instantly improve this would be to get some shading on the flames on the bottom, on the ghosty flames. Either, fade into white or go from white into a darker shade of this green hue, a green misty colour. That could work.
But this was bought when I was going all in on trying to get a Vampire Counts army done. But then, before I had time to really use it that much, the world blew up. So it took me quite a while to do this army. Obviously, I was playing dwarves as well at the time. They were getting most.
We've had people crying out for Witch Coven on the show, on the chat.
Well, here's another one of my models. So this is Thistle Dwarf, Ancient Winged Half-Breed, Overmaster. And scales are painted very simply, only dry brushing. Plastic Mantic Dragon isn't obscenely detailed. I think the orange scales look really nice though. Very proud of how they turned out. I like the wings as well, the wing membrane. And overall, it's just a cool model. The actual Mantic Dragon standard with its head on it, I'm not a huge fan of that. But this version, the big evil dwarf demon head on it. Favorite. Problem is the head is metal. I don't know if it's still being supplied with a metal head. That makes it very, very front heavy because the rest of it's plastic. And the saddle, if you will, is a huge chunk of metal as well. That is a slight issue with, but I couldn't say no to this thing. It reminds me very much of the classic Lamassu.
It does, doesn't it? The rider, is that his cloak flapping about?
Yes.
It looks kind of silly.
He is supposed to have a weapon, but his weapon is metal and really thin. So I thought, you know what, that's just going to fall off. So I just decided to have him waving his fists in the air instead. Just cut the weapon off. Next. Okay, this is another one of mine. This is the Mantic Giant converted into a hideous Nightstalker Shadowhulk. Lots of pieces, some Mantic pieces, some GW pieces in there as well. And lots of molds taken of faces of things and then transplanted onto it in green stuff to make them flexible enough to wrap around muscles and kneecaps and everything. A lot of the faces that are on there are actually the Mantic Giant faces, because I used the heads for some. Took their faces for this model. And this, I didn't have to have any commitment to buying this because the Giant was actually free at a Mantic Clash of Kings tournament. Everyone got a free Giant out of their goodie bag. So this is what I used mine for. Converted it with different. Definitely the most elaborate conversion I've done to this point. So much going on there. So many tiny little arms poking out of it. Tentacles everywhere. And very happy with that. One day I hope to actually get it onto the table and play a game, because I'll have enough to go with it. Because one thing that was more of a financial commitment is this guy's Shadowhulk Bro. It's not finished yet, obviously not painted, but when I get more into trying to finish off the Nightstalker, it's going to be a big piece. This Shadowhulk version 2 from a Mega Gargant I did purchase and converted with lots of Mantic bits and some bad Squiddo tentacles on there as well. And there's even a little tiny orkling crumpled under its foot, being squished. So there's lots going on here. There's hands poking out of it all over the place, fingers coming out of the back of the leg, faces with tongues sticking out everywhere, zombies crawling out of where the neck should be. Very elaborate. Take me quite a while to paint it when I actually get started on it.
Yeah, that's a big paint job, man.
It is. So hopefully it'll surpass the other Shadowhulk there in the picture. And now, that's enough of the big stuff we've looked at for the moment. So how about things we've painted this week? First of all, we've got Bastien, also known as Not As Good As Gotrek.
Is he a bit lopsided?
Yes, the picture's just slanted.
Yeah, he's I look forward to facing him in combat. He looks like a real threat. You know, I know he is one, but he looks like one too.
He does. It took me quite a while to paint this guy. The face took me about 3 hours.
Done a good job there, Andy.
The only thing I'm not satisfied with, I would have liked the beard lines to be thinner. Although this picture is blown up compared to real life. So I think if I had an even tinier paintbrush, then I could get those lines even thinner in the beard. That's the only thing I would do different.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it I'm pretty satisfied with. The eyes, because he's supposed to have these glowing eyes, I didn't need to mess about doing pupils in them or anything. Supposed to be glowing. And the overall... One thing I've done with this model that it seems other people didn't do so much is the skull on this thing here, with the flames coming out of it. A lot of people have just painted that skull as metal. Whenever I see a skull, I'm inspired to paint it as a skull.
Yeah.
And I think it adds a bit more to it.
Yeah.
So shall we zoom in for some unfair scrutiny on this guy as well?
Mm-hmm.
Go in, so you can see exactly where all the highlights are now. Lots of gold highlights going on, as you'd expect. White lightning bolts. With my new Stormcast, from Dominion onwards, I've started doing this with their hammers. So there's kind of the gold front, which differentiates them from classic Stormcast.
Mm-hmm. The hammers look better now.
So he's ready to smash some Remington skulls, I think. Very exciting. Next, this is from Cedar, posted on the Discord server, which people should be joining already. And this is Lord Ordinator.
Nice, I love the face.
That is a very cool face, actually. And I didn't see the glowing eyes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very nice.
Really realistic gloves as well. Realistic leather coloured gloves. Yeah, very nice.
It's just a very nice army. Very colourful. Very nice. And finally, Remington paint miniatures week. What have you actually done this week, Kyle?
So it's the one in the middle, the wizard with the long beard. So I'm finishing off my Cursed City models. I've only got the Caradron Overlord left to paint for the good characters, and a bunch of bats and rats and gribblies to paint, and then I will have completed all of the models from Cursed City. But the other one was this fellow on the right there. He looks like a duelist, or maybe he could be someone from you know, what's it called? Kislev, sort of a Kislevite sort of character. He holds a pistol in one hand and a giant sword in the scabbard with his left hand, and next to his left hand you see that mirror, the little mirror dangling there.
Yes,
Yeah, really pleased with that model. If you get close enough, look at his eyes. He looks a bit scared because he's looking up at one of your models and thinking, "Can I take this guy on?" There.
Yes, eyes when you zoom in on them. If you've got for that really fine black point in the middle of these big white eyes, they do often look quite terrified, don't they?
Yeah, I should probably put a little bit of an outline around those eyes, or some sort of reddish brown. Just tidy that up a bit. Yeah, not bad. I did that model in one sitting. Took me about 2 or 3 hours.
You know what the wizard reminds me of?
What?
The face, not so much. It might just be the beard. For some reason, it's giving me vibes of the wizard in Conan the Destroyer. You know, the one who hides behind all the mirrors.
Yeah, bad film. Such a disappointing ending.
It's got some great bits in it, but overall, it's definitely downgrade on the first one.
It's like half a film. If there was another hour and a half of the film after that with a proper adventure, it'd be good.
It's got great music though.
Yep.
Clearly ripped off our theme song. Conan the Destroyer.
They did. So yeah, these Cursed City models are so good. Because you basically get half a Soul-Blight Gravelord's army in there, and also just the characters, the good guys, if you like. It's so good. Just trying to think of a way I can use them. Because I've got so many heroes now in a Cities of Sigmar army I could use. I've got a whole cohort, I guess, of wizards as well. So I could probably field just a wizardy army. Could be fun. But yeah, really nice models to paint.
Colin Mack says he has Hero Quest to paint. I assume that's the new Hero Quest. Redone for Fancy Pants here. See?
Oh.
Post that on our Discord server. Not. Should be. And so what are we working on at the moment? Because on my table I've got, first of all, got the Ironclad for the Caradhran Overlords, and I have acquired Rod. So what I've done, I'm probably going to do a video on this as well because it might be quite interesting. I've cut out a hole big enough for the rod to go in underneath there, and then because it was hollow plastic inside, I've wedged a ton of green stuff inside there, make like a tunnel for the rod to go into so it won't wobble. And now you really have to like force it in there, and then now hold it like a lollipop. And that's going to go into the base. It should hold it securely during battle, but then I can remove it for transport purposes. Because obviously this on a base is not going to go into anyone's carry case. And then the base itself, the sand is still drying, I think, actually. So I've taken a bit of Sigmarite temple ruin there, and I've got a hole in that. Done the same thing.
Yeah.
So then the other end of it is going to plop to that hole there. It does need to be forced a bit. I might actually stick it in that hole with
Didn't
super
I
glue.
Didn't I give you that temple ruin?
You did.
Oh, I did.
So it's definitely come in handy here.
Where did you get the glass from then?
This rod, because it's way better than the terrible flying stand they give you, which is, look at the thickness of it next to this rod. Tiny flimsy little thing, only good for gun haulers.
Oh yeah, the rod looks like something you used to get when we were in science classes at school.
The rod I got on eBay, and the one I used, this one is 6mm width, and in terms of length, the sweet spot seems to be 30mm length. I assume after that they have to put it into a more ridiculous box or something for postage. The price just shoots up if you want longer than that. So I got the 30mm, 300mm length, and then just cut this piece off. So I'm going to use the other one on the frigate, the other not quite as big ship, but still wouldn't want to use a little GW flight stand on it.
I do wish, Andy, when they brought out the Caradhran Overlords, maybe they should have brought an opposing faction that was a bit piratey, you know. And there was talk about piratey goblins flying around on makeshift sail ships. That could have been so good.
It could have been. You could do it. You could make some flying goblin ships.
Yeah. So yeah, are you up for having a go at Cursed City then?
Yes.
Nice.
That soon. But before we go, first of all, why haven't all of you liked the video yet? See people just sitting there not hitting the like button. Stats. Oh, someone just liked it.
I'm gonna unlike it and then like it again.
Yes, I was able to witness that happening in real time.
Nice.
Now, so Which big models are you considering purchasing near future?
Maybe the the daft orc wizard on the flying buzzard, on the giant buzzard. That could be fun.
Good. For me,
Yeah.
apart from Krondis, the massive dragon that I would like to use in the same list as a Stardrake just to see Remington's face. Other than that, one thing that I suppose classifies as a big model is actually the Bad Squiddo giant mushroom. Because for some reason, I've got this urge to make an army of some in a mushroom forest. It'd probably have to be a Kings of War army, so I could make like a forest base for all. But there's one mushroom. It might just be called the big one or something. Just an obscenely large mushroom. So it does qualify as a large model. But that's something I'm considering. Colin says Mantic Giant for my goblins at some point. Mantic Giant is very cost effective monetarily. Getting a lot of money with that Mantic. Their Frost Giant is very nice as well, and I'm thinking about getting one of those at some point for my Mantic Goblin. A couple of people did like the video.
Good stuff, man. Oh
West.
man, I'm so tired, Andy. Sorry, guys.
Well, the only thing remaining to do is play a game. So, are you ready for this?
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a chaos dwarf or a vampire bear? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it Sigma Speed or Neferata's hat? Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? Is it a mangled squig or a sorcerer's rat? Only Andy and Remington! Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know.
And here we go. It's time for this week's What the Hell Is That? So get ready to type in the name of this miniature as it slowly zooms out. It's currently available in the Age of Sigmar range. So, what is it? Get typing ferociously because I have a feeling this is quite an easy one. Someone's going to get it very quickly, in my opinion.
Okay, it's zooming out.
It won't take long at all, this one.
I see skulls.
Someone should be able to get this already, if you ask me.
Is it 40k?
Really easy one.
The Tyranids.
Come on, folks. This is
Ugh.
the easiest one yet.
Is it spidery? Oh, no one's...
Surely.
Oh.
Very disappointed in all of you right now.
Oh, I know what it is. Yeah.
Deeply disappointed. Oh, Mickey's got it.
Mickey got
Eventually.
it.
I feel
Yeah.
like some of our What the Hell Is That fans are losing their touch.
This was a huge model, wasn't it? Wow.
It certainly was. It certainly is. Still one of the tallest models. So let's just look at this spinning dragon for a minute. About that. Okay, everyone, don't forget, like the video, subscribe if for some reason you haven't. Don't forget to subscribe to Remington as well, whose channel should be in the description. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, join the Facebook group, join the Discord server, most importantly, so you can put pictures of your painted miniatures in there and have them featured on this show, as well as see lovely behind the scenes stuff. Don't forget to check out all the various fundraising sources in there as well, including Patreon, where you can possibly get access exclusive music files for everything featured on this show. Very spicy perk there. So, let's get the thumbnail up. And big thanks to all the patrons who you've been watching their names scroll across the screen all the way through the show. Colin Mack, yes. Have a gargoyle. Good job. Mr. Remington, would you like to say farewell to the audience?
Farewell. Farewell to the audience. Farewell.
And I would say that you should stay tuned to this channel because there's spicy things coming soon. Hopefully, if we can play a game of Age of Sigmar at some point soon, then that'll make it onto the channel very soon. And also City, perhaps. And in fact, one thing I'm going to complain about first, get taken away the thumbnail. Look at all these things. This is the crew for the Ironclad, like 6 of them, and it's like painting a whole unit before I even get to the ship. So it's not really a complaint, it's more of a, that's a lot of work to do. But in more exciting news, look who I've got here though.
Oh, it's Bugmanson.
Jacob Bugmanson, who's going to be used as my Caradron Overlord's Gotrek. How do you feel about that, Mr. Remington?
You can't do that.
He doesn't have rules in the game. It's got to be used for something. So why not Gotrek? I'm going to give him a ginger beard and everything.
No.
All that remains to be said is, good night out there. Whatever you are.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn.